Today we're having a Q&A session, but today one question only. I'm going to try to answer a question from my daughter Mickey, who asked me yesterday, why don't people like Hillary Clinton? I think I can address this question with some knowledge. I've followed Hillary for a long time, since working on Bill Clinton's campaign in 1992 at Wayne State University. Let's begin by saying that in the United States, we like women who are strong and intelligent and capable of fighting aggressively for what they think is right, but only if they lived a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Not so keen on the strong woman in the contemporary society setting. Second point, it's an old saying that the winners write the history books. Unfortunately, the losers take over talk radio. So when the Clintons won the White House, talk radio spent a lot of time building up its arsenal of attacks. And I'm not calling this a right-wing conspiracy because a conspiracy indicates there's some secret about it. And there was nothing secret about the fact that talk radio didn't like Bill Clinton, didn't like Hillary Clinton, didn't like their agenda, and would do whatever they could to bring them down. Today, the most commonly heard knock against Hillary is that she's not likable and she's not trustworthy. Michael Smerconish, a journalist who I have a lot of respect for and enjoy most of what he says, has a hard time mentioning Hillary without bringing up the fact that she has trust issues, that people don't trust her, don't like her. Well, if you want to have trust issues, it helps if every time someone mentions your name, they mention the fact they have a trust issue. But here's the thing. Ask people, what are the big lies that they would like to cite coming from Hillary and Bill? Bill obviously has a big one with the whole sex issue. But let's get back to that in a little bit. Politicians and the truth. Certainly since, Cicero, or sometime a long, long time ago, politicians have had trouble presenting a clear, concise picture of the truth. They tend to shade things, present things in rosier terms than might be accurate. And sometimes they break a lot of promises, and occasionally they do outright lie. It happens. But you have to keep some perspective. Study the case of the USS Maddox in the Gulf of Tonkin resolution. This is a case where the United States was not told the truth, or not a very accurate picture of the truth, and it got us into a long and sustained war that cost tens of thousands of lives. But the leaders at the time were not being honest with us. This is a major lie. Not long after that, Richard Nixon comes into office. You have things like Operation Menu, where Nixon literally was starting a war, fighting a war without telling anyone. But they were dropping bombs on Laos and Cambodia and not going through any of the procedures you should have to do to start a war. A few years later, you have Ronald Reagan in office, and you have the whole arms for hostages negotiations going on, and it took a long time for us to get a clear picture of that. And more recently, of course, we have the weapons of mass destruction, that slam dunk that got us into the Iraq War, and that very long and costly engagement. These are serious, serious breaches of the trust between the presidency and the public. So let's look at those four events: the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, the Operation Menu, the weapons for hostages, and the weapons of mass destruction. Now, put up against those, what is Hillary most often accused of being duplicitous about, of lying about? Well, lately, it's two things: Benghazi and the fact that she was using a private internet server rather than one provided by the State Department in her house. And if you ask me, these things do not match up. But we have said for so long, the Clintons, you can't trust them. Everybody knows you can't trust them. And you ask, why can't you trust them? Well, because everybody knows. We've heard for so long that you can't trust the Clintons. But I trust the Clintons. They have been on, for me, the right side of many, many issues for a long time. And when someone says they don't have their principles in the right ballpark, ask where you see that they don't. Ask where you see where they've violated and gone back on those principles. Now we come back to Bill and the question of his extramarital affairs and his having questions about, what is sex having and the meaning of what is and all that. First of all, it was not Hillary. And second of all, the question of men lying about having extramarital sex is not something that, one, jeopardizes thousands of lives of other Americans, two, is not a violation of a promise he made to the people, it's a violation of a promise he made to his wife. And so, for me, that's between the consenting adults involved. I'm not saying I admire him for it, but there are enough other things that I do admire him for, and that marriage has survived, and you can argue about that. But the truth is, when you ask, why don't people like Hillary? For the most part, Mickey, the biggest reason they don't like her is they've been told she's not likable. It is not because of anything she has said or done. It's that they've been told she's not likable, and that she is a strong, intelligent, sometimes aggressive, certainly ambitious. She's a female, and those are not things we always like in the United States. So, USA, you've got some learning to do as far as the role of women and what they can do, what we should let them do, what we should be happy to have them do. And I hope that Mickey and Mulan, both my daughters, soon get to see an example that, yes, a woman can be a president, and that you don't dislike them because they are intelligent and strong and willing to fight aggressively for what they think is right. So, until next time, don't forget to be awesome. I will talk to you again soon. Hopefully, probably not on something as controversial. But who knows? Maybe. See you then.